I feel like there's a phrase.
Let me begin by thanking the returning officer.
The seat where the well happened given the exit poll. And look, you can see all the blue has gone away from these seats. Now, these are not all the seats
now, so we are trying to see through the glass.
Over its position on the NHS. I think
he now will have to take over, but for the moment...
Qualify that far right. Are you suggesting that reform are far right? Because people who support reform might then legitimately ask if you're when you think that they might have quite a lot actually.
Manager.
Well, there we are. Lillian Jones, a rapturous reception from her supporters in the hall there. Aberdeen, what do you say, Ailsa Henderson?
Yeah, I mean...
I am reliably informed that Stephen has also held a seat in Aberdeen South.
OK, now we have enough real...
Gaza, returning to politics to public service. I think it's incredible the extent to which we have felt that we've lost that.
So know that you will represent...
Giving you almost a 50% chance to win.
To Business Secretary, Energy Secretary, and of course, currently Defence Secretary. I want to pay tribute on that last one to the selfless courage of the men and women of this country who served in our armed forces. I've had the privilege to work with them. And there's no more important task for any government than to defend the realm, and my proudest achievement in government has been to secure that very large multi-billion-pound additional funding to increase our armed forces spending. It's clear tonight that Britain will have a new government in the morning, and I am extremely concerned that unless it quickly commits to spend 2.5% of GDP on defence, our armed forces may suffer, and so will our friends in Ukraine. If there's something that I'm incredibly proud about in Britain today, it's our staunch and unwavering support for Ukraine and its democracy. And that must never waver, even through a change of government here at home. What is crystal clear to me tonight is that it's not so much that Labour won this election, but rather that the Conservatives have lost it. On door after door, voters have been dismayed by our inability to iron out our differences in private and do that and then be united in public. Instead, we've tried the patience of traditional Conservative voters with a propensity to create an endless political soap opera out of internal rivalries and divisions, which have become increasingly indulgent and entrenched. Today, voters have simply said, if you can't agree with each other, then we can't agree to vote for you. We forgot a fundamental rule of politics, that people do not vote for divided parties. Now, for the sake of the United Kingdom, I very much wish this new government well, but for the sake of a strong democracy, the Conservative Party needs to play its part too, by recognising what has gone wrong and using its time in opposition to refresh and rebuild. The Conservative Party should have a natural advantage, that of being at our best, a party that mirrors the aspirations and hopes of the hard-working British people. But there's a danger that we now go off on some tangent, condemning ourselves and the public to years of lacklustre opposition that fails to hold the government to account effectively. We must not let this happen. We should be clear about what went wrong, put it right, and create a plan to present to the public, and then we must ensure that we present it to them in a way which means we can return within 5 years, not 15 years or longer. And finally, I just want to say that politics is not a solo affair. So I want to thank all of the staff and advisors who've worked for me over the years in my constituency, in Parliament, and in my many different ministerial offices. To my agent, Nat Chapman, and all of those who've filled his role before him, to the thousands of voluntary party workers who've helped me over the years, and of course to my family, my wife, Belinda.
A visibly shaken Grant Shapps there, sometimes seen as one of the very reliable, strong communicators in the Conservative Party, looking really quite shaken by what has happened to him tonight. He's lost his seat of Welland Hatfield, one of those kinds of seats that was Conservative for a long time under him and has now been captured by the Labour Party. They'll be delighted with that scalp there, but a strong message from him, the first losing cabinet minister to publicly say, we have lost it. There will be a new government in the morning. Grant Shapps, of course, not helped by Nigel Farage. You can see waiting for his result in Clacton there, but also pointing the finger at colleagues who failed to agree in public, whose indulgent, to use his words, squabbling, put people off. Now, while we wait for Nigel Farage's declaration, let's take a look with Jeremy at where those Conservative losses are stacking up. In what corners of the country? Jeremy.
Well, Laura, we've actually put all these Conservative seats as they went into the election into a kind of wedge shape. So smallest majorities at this end near the door of Downing Street, and come on down with me and you'll see the wedge get bigger as the seats get safer. So down the far end, some of the safer Conservative seats, the high hexagon means there's a big majority. OK, so what we shall do now is combine a bit of exit poll and all these real results that are coming in, and let us now have a look at what this wedge of seats has become. So, if you start at this end, you've got the smaller Conservative majorities, very vulnerable seats here, like Lee and Atherton there, just at the end, old majority 293. That went Labour, pushover for Labour in these circumstances. Stroud, just here, old majority 2,400, now a Labour majority of more than 11,000. We head on down here, we've got Vale of Glamorgan, just here, and Bridgend, which have gone to Labour. So those were relatively vulnerable. As we head down, let's just have a look. Right at the end here, where you had safe seats, Cannock Chase, you can see here, old majority, 19,800, now a Labour majority of 3,500, a 25% swing. So right down the bottom here, where the seats were safest, they still aren't completely safe. And you're seeing here the damage to the Conservatives going all the way down this wedge of seats from the top to the bottom, and it hasn't stopped yet.
And ask you how you're going to vote, and they said, yes, we're going to be voting Labour. We've always been.
Thank you very much for the great Yarmouth.
There is also that's come in.
Results, everybody. Jonathan.
Denied, of course, and all that sort of thing. Even in those circumstances, some of the swings we're seeing swings of
earlier on. It's not just here. It's.
But all sorts of things happening that you would never have you don't get the uniform Labour swing. You get
victory in Bristol is a real.
Conservatives have gained the seat for Labour in Leicester.
Yeah, but I think we can also go now.
Anderson, having held that seat,
drops under Liz Truss and drops under Boris Johnson's leadership. Rishi Sunak has not been able to.
As follows.
About what Labour are going to do, when it's clear Labour have won.